The following movie is rated R.
Welcome back to the R-Rated podcast. Today's guest is Josh Landers, and we're going to talk about what movies to watch on your first date. Like, what's your go-to genre? For me personally, I don't know if it's necessarily like rom-coms or like a romantic movie, especially on the first date, because it's kind of like a lot. But like, I feel like it's so stereotypical. Like, oh, like let's go watch, I don't know, like 50 Shades of Grey or something like that. But to be honest, for my type of like first date, I feel like it's more like a scary movie. Like I like to just be more like, oh my God, am I going to survive this? Or am I going to survive this date? Like,
yeah, like get the adrenaline going.
Yeah, I think I like more of like an adrenaline rush versus like sitting there and then like you have like this perfectly painted picture of like how this like romance should go. And it's like your first date and it's like, I don't know, it's kind of early. Maybe it's just me personally.
No, I was going to say the same thing, that like the romance movie seems like the Vegas favorite. Like the conventional wisdom would say, oh, you're going on a date, take the girl to the romantic movie. But I actually think it's a bad call, for the reasons you just mentioned.
You have such high expectations. It's like, oh, okay, well, like you're watching the movie, let's say, and in the movie, everything's just so over exaggerated. The guy like is just like, buying her like flowers or like coming to her work, sending her stuff. And then it's like, you have these expectations and it's like, why aren't you doing that? You know what I mean? So I feel like you're already kind of setting like this bar for yourself. So for me personally, scary movies are more my vibe because also I like to see like, what scares the person as well. Like, I'm like, okay, like, are you someone that's going to like sit there and act like, oh, it doesn't even like affect me, like whatever scary movies, or are you going to be like, cuddled up, like, oh, it's scary.
You get a read on the person.
Yeah, it just like shows kind of like more of their personality, and I think it's like a fun experience.
I hate scary movies. I ultimately was gonna say that I hate scary movies. Well, I think as a film buff yourself, like aren't scary movies quality wise tend to be on the like lower end of things, low budget.
Yeah, that's true.
Cheap plots, like
that's true. You're never gonna be like, wow, like that was amazing, like literally walking out like the cast, like everything. Unfortunately, it's more like B-rated.
Has this ever happened to you? Have you ever been watching a movie and then suddenly you see a bunch of actors on a set instead of like the characters you're supposed to be seeing? Like you could like see through it. And I feel like scary movies, that happens like every time. Like I'm like watching people try and make a scary movie.
Yeah, no, it's
something
true.
Like that.
Honestly, before I entered the film world of like studying everything in film school and all that stuff, it used to scare me. Like, I'm like, oh shit. Like, I don't know, like the ghost stories would actually really freak me out. Like The Ring, The Grudge, like those were like scary movies back then that like actually creeped me out, or like the first Exorcist. But then once they started doing like all these remakes and stuff, I was like, But anyway, once I got older and I went to film school and kind of started like understanding how you make movies and scary films, I'm just like, I can't actually watch a scary movie without, like, I can't watch it like a normal person. Like I just see the whole like film aspect of it. I'm like, oh, okay, like they're probably going to have someone come out here and jump scare. And then it like usually happens, or I'm like, oh, like this lighting's happening. So that means somebody's going to die, or this.
The whole production.
Yeah. It's like, oh, this character's wearing red. Like something's probably going to happen to them. Like, I just like see it like a filmmaker. I can't watch it like the way that I used to, but yeah.
And just like the feelings, like you were saying earlier, like the different feelings that it brings out of people, like on the scary movie to see what they get scared about. Like, I think that's the exact reason to stay away from comedy for date night on the movie dates, because people have various senses of humor.
Yeah, that's
exactly
true.
Like, do the comedy movies with your bros, get high and get your snack.
Yeah,
like go with your bros to the comedy, because there's going to be some jokes in there that might be pushing the envelope on certain trigger points on people, and you might, different people have different sensitivities. So I'd be like,
totally, especially
stay away from the comedies.
Especially with the films, like, well, actually, more back then, they were more like loose about the jokes and kind of like what they would be able to say. I think now they're a little bit more reserved just because, a lot of things have been changing. But totally, I agree. Like, I feel like if you laughed at the wrong thing, that could really jeopardize the date.
Bingo.
Go south.
Yeah, like what you mentioned before, like back in the day, like the comedies were pretty much just all like hella misogynistic.
Yes.
Like, I know some of my favorite comedies were just like Wedding Crashers. Like it's a whole movie about going, pretending to be someone else and sleeping with women. And
or like, have you seen White Chicks with the Wayans brothers? Okay, so when I was younger, I didn't really catch on the jokes like the way that I do now, obviously, because you know, as you get older, you're like, I get it. Like, but yeah, they're essentially, you know, Black men trying to pretend to be white women, and so there's a lot of racial jokes that go on. It's like, I feel like you couldn't say half the things that they say in that movie now. Like it would be kind of frowned upon. It would be seen negative. So it's like, you can just see how much times have been changing of how like more loose they were like with like racist jokes in old movies.
Yeah. The homophobic stuff too. A lot of F-bombs.
Yes.
Like I remember like, you know, as a 7th grader watching The Hangover, like laughing my butt off, like opening line, paging doctor, whatever. But it's just like, we gotta grow. Like I think it's a testament to how the film industry has grown though. And you know, got to give credit where credit's due at least a little bit. Like we realize some of that's just not that funny. So
I know it's still a creative form of art and stuff. Like it's like kind of the thing with like comedians. It's like, when are you, you know, a lot of them get shit or get canceled because they say things that are kind of like they say things that are very scandalous. They make jokes about all kinds of shit. And it's like,
that cross the line.
Right. And it's like, when are you going to start like censoring, see it as like, okay, it's a comedy. It's not supposed to be like serious like that.
It's like the comedians, but also I guess like the comedy filmmakers' job to like see where the line is, you know, to push the line, push the boundaries. Because, you know, if they don't do that, then we won't know where the line is and the line could kind of shrink on us or whatever, you know? So it's like, I'm all for people pushing that line to see where the line is. I'm not really for just like racism and homophobia too.
Right.
So it's a balance, you know, like it's a, like some people think they're edgy or they think like, you know, they think they're just pushing the line when really they're just an asshole. I'm saying what everyone thinks I shouldn't say, so I'm a badass, but really like we're just collectively trying to like weed out like all this horrible like ideas that like so many of us hold, you know, and attitudes that so many of us hold. So like the artist's job to kind of like change the way we think about some of that stuff, you know?
No, I agree. You have that power of like, especially when you're a filmmaker and you're creating art, like of controlling what the audience sees, what, you know, what you're feeding their brains basically. And it's like, you want to send out a good and realistic and positive message and not just like some stereotypical, you know, bullshit and whatever. So yeah, we're learning, we're growing.
It's been decided. I think we think horror movie is the best movie for a date night. I think we're in consensus.
When would you choose to like, are you into, okay, I'm just going to say, are you into rom-com movies? Like, are you that type of guy that's like, yeah, like I'll watch it with like my date, my girlfriend, whatever. Or are you like, no, I really don't want to spend any time watching that. Like,
I think I'm a rom-com guy. Like, is Mean Girls a rom-com?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's
like, that's like top 10 movie of all time for me. So it's like,
it is legendary.
I love a good rom-com.
You can't go wrong with that.
I love a good rom-com, but I guess maybe rom-com could be more for like later down the road, you know, once you guys pass the unrealistic expectations of dating itself, then you could watch some unrealistic love on a movie, you know?
Right, exactly. That's how, honestly, I'm like, you don't have to wait like super long to watch rom-coms, but I'm just saying like not the first date necessarily. And like, it could be the third or fourth. First, I don't think it's a good move. I think you might be setting yourself up there.
Movies are like films are such a powerful way of bringing people together, whether it's like obviously on a date or, you know, the drive-ins or even like a theater full of people that don't really know each other. They're all sharing an experience.
Right.
Or just like the various people in the fields, like having their own different experiences that bring them together and stuff like that. So film is just obviously super powerful, just like to connect people. The way to connect is the date. I don't think it's a great first date. And let me tell you why.
Okay.
I think the first date should be spent learning about whoever that is that you're dating. You know, there's so much to know about the person that you don't know yet. There's no time to sit in front of a screen and not talk, you know, and pay attention to something else.
I definitely agree with you. It's not the place for a first date necessarily. I think maybe by the third date, obviously you like this person, you wouldn't be going on a third date with them if you didn't. So you obviously kind of like their vibe already. You've been talking, you already kind of, let's just say you went to get food together. So you know like what type of food they already like. You've had that conversation. You did an activity like mini golfing.
I was gonna say second date.
Really?
Second
Okay.
date. I was gonna say it might be a good date after you know the person.
Yeah.
And you might be ready for that first kiss. It's not. I don't know what you were saying with the third date. I know there's a lot of allusions to be made with third date.
Right.
I don't think you should be going into that movie theater with the wrong intentions. Let's keep it. Movie theater dates are cute and they're wholesome. You get the popcorn.
Right.
You get the slushie. Let's keep it wholesome. Let's keep it cute. Don't rush the movie date. It's such a classic.
Yeah.
And it's so timeless that it's like you got to lean into it. Like you got to lean into the quirkiness and the cuteness of it.
Right.
Get your popcorn. Pay too much for your candy. Overall, if we had to say, if we're going to look at, do we love the movie date or is it underrated or is it overrated? Or is it properly rated? We're going to start with the positive. All right.
Okay.
The reason why it's great is, like I mentioned before, it's a classic.
Yeah.
Your parents went to the movies.
True.
Your parents went to the movies. Also kind of what makes it whack, because it's like, okay, are do we really want to be dating how our grandparents were dating? Like, you know what I mean? Like they went to the movies because they didn't have
there was literally
the only place they could watch a movie.
Just kidding. Yeah.
My grandparents would be ashamed that I was spending $20 at the movie theater when I'm already paying for endless movies.
Subscriptions too, like all these streaming platforms and like all this shit.
What are we doing?
You can't get anything for $1.50 at the movie theater. Not even like nothing. Absolutely nothing. I think the cheapest thing you can maybe get is like for $5, and that's like maybe a little candy, like a Junior Mint or something.
On that note, I'm gonna go ahead and put my foot down. And I'm gonna say movie dates are overrated. There's a time and a place for them, and there's still something a little nostalgic about it.
Right.
We love it. Everyone wants to be the prom queen.
True.
Even though maybe we think being the prom queen's the dumbest shit. We all want to be it. And movie dates are kind of like that. I don't know if they're the best, but we all want to go on one at least once.
Being a filmmaker, I feel
there you
like
go.
I'm tied into like. Something about the whole movie theater experience is very special to me, not only just because of like going there on dates or like going there with a group of friends or, just being a kid and seeing like the first few animated movies. I just have so many like special memories there just because like I saw so many big films that I was like just the first time seeing Harry Potter on screen. That was such a big moment for me too. I'm just like, wow, you really got lost in that like world. It was like a different space, even with like Narnia. I feel like when I was like a kid, a lot of like those fantasy movies really like captured me. So I always like loved going to the movie theater. I was like, oh my God, like I'm going to get like lost in this like world, and Disney and like Pixar and all those, different productions, stuff like that. But honestly, if they took away movie theaters and they were like, all movie theaters are shut down, like you're never going to be able to go to a movie theater again, I would be really sad. Like I don't think I would be like ready for that. I think because we have them around right now, I'm not like I'm kind of like, whatever. Because right now I'm more like, I want to be at the comfort of my own like home and just like be able to pause the movie and then get snacks maybe, or like, I don't know, maybe make a drink. But it does take away from that like fully being captured and like into the film, because like when you're at home, you are way more prone to distractions. Like even just like a text or something, like in the movie theater, you're not gonna like check a text. Like it's like a no-no in the movie world. You can't do that. You can't do that.
I feel like our attention spans are all just like so short, and like the movie theater is maybe like the last place we really even have to like give our attention to one thing for 2 hours. Like I don't really know anyone my age that could spend 2 hours like doing something without getting distracted, without checking their phone, without anything. I don't remember last time I did homework for 2 straight hours, like without checking my phone. Like what? No. Like that's not what I mean, or something like that. Like you right, exactly. But it's like in the movie theater, it is. So
I know, yeah. So it's like that. Like when you think of stuff like that, I'm like, okay, it's positive. Like it's an experience you definitely want to like have around. You don't want to like see it go. And I'm worried about that because we have so many streaming platforms. Literally every platform has all the new movies now. Like you pay like, I don't know, $10 a month. And it's like, oh, like join this platform because then you can watch this free movie. And it's like, if that's how it's going to be now, like, I don't think people are going to be as like into going into the movie theaters as much as they used to. So I'm scared that we might not see them around for that much longer unless things kind of change with like pricing maybe, or I don't know. I don't know what they could do to like step it up, or like what could draw more people in. But like right now, I just feel like movie theaters don't have the best rep just because of like being shut down because of COVID and the whole like, you know, sharing a seat. And then also the movie theater shootings that have happened. It's scary. You know what I mean? It's like, I've thought about it too. I'm like, what if you're in a theater when, you know, one of the times like at a late showing, because it seems to happen always like at a later showing. And it's like, it's just like sucks that has to be a worry now. Like when you go to the theater, like, oh, what if someone walked in and like, it's scary, you know, and it's been happening closer and closer. Like, it's sad that like this place that used to be like such a beautiful place that you can create so many memories with so many different types of people. First time hanging out, family member, like people you spend every day with, to like now it's like people don't really want to pay the price because it's overpriced. There's a worry of like not enough security and people just wandering in. Like it's something we have to talk about as well.
Like, as you mentioned before, like Harry Potter and some of the visual and like just grand effects in it and the world.
Yeah, like Avatar too. Like, I was like, what the fuck?
Avatar too, right? It was like meant for the theater almost.
Literally,
right?
Like, Avatar is literally meant for the theater. Like I remember sitting there for 3 hours. I remember the intermission coming on, and I was like, whoa, like we've already been sitting here for an hour and a half and now we're going to get like more film. Like I was just like so excited. It was such an experience. I've never seen like anything like that kind of animation, and I think it was in 3D too when I saw it. So it was just such an experience. And I think that's why like so many people have been able to like, I think he's been having such a big audience, like waiting for the Avatar 2 for so long, because it took you out of like your world, you know, out of your current situation, your current problems for like 3 hours. You were so lost in it. And it's like, you know, we've been waiting for like part 2, like give it to us, because I don't think anyone has experienced such a like immersive film. And it's like, he does a great job, but the like Avatar 2, it's been like over 10 years, like it's supposed to come out already. But I think he was so ahead of filmmaking. Like they didn't have all the camera equipment. Like he was trying to shoot underwater basically like 10 years ago. And they didn't have the like camera equipment to like be able to go deep and shoot all these things. But now they do. So it's like, it's been happening now and this whole thing. But if you think about it, just like the experience he's trying to create for the audience, it's like, it's pretty amazing. And it's like, that would get lost watching it at home on your TV. Like you wouldn't get that same effect. You know what I mean? Than like watching in a big theater with like IMAX, like whatever.
Okay, exactly. Which brings me to my question, which is as a filmmaker, like if you were gonna get a big budget to drop something, but it was supposed to be like on Amazon Prime or Netflix or whatever, like how would that change your filmmaking as opposed to making it for the theater? I guess I'm saying like, you know, like our directors thinking about it, 90% of my people are going to watch this on streaming platforms, not in the theater. And it's probably going to change the way like they make movies.
Yeah, no, honestly, I always expected like, oh, you're going to make movies for the movie theater. Like I honestly never thought for streaming platforms, but that's so funny you mentioned it, because I was actually on a call yesterday with a producer, and he asked me, he was like, where do you see the film? Like, you know, what do you want, like the end result of it? Like, where do you want it to like go? Like, how big is the audience? How big of the platform do you want it to have? And I was like, well, everything I do, I dream big. I'm not going to like make a feature film or something to like have it be like small and no one sees it. So I was like, obviously I wanted to be, at first, my first answer was movie theater, but then I was like, wait a minute. Like, it didn't seem as like realistic and logical. Like for some reason I said it and I was just like,
it's like, oh honey, grandma.
Yeah, literally.
Grandma, yeah.
And then he even said, yeah, he was like, you know, it's a lot easier and more realistic, basically, in translation, to get your film onto Amazon. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, it kind of just like changed everything, because I was like, whoa, I've never in my life thought like I'm going to make a movie for a streaming platform. It was always just like, I'm going to make a movie for the movie theater. Like I've always just had that like thought. So now I'm like, damn, it really is changing, where it's like, just like way more, like that's kind of like the goal now for producers, like when they're talking to directors, like streaming platforms, right? Because you can just distribute it to a ton of different platforms, and then you get all these viewers from around the world. And that's kind of how it goes now. You want to have a balance of both, obviously. Like, you don't want to make a movie and have it be so beautiful and like so meaningful, but no one's watching it. But you also don't want to make a movie that's like, has like all these people watching it, but there was nothing personal, nothing attached to it. Like, I just made it because I was getting paid well. Like, that would suck too. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like that's kind of like my next step, figuring out like how I can mesh those two together, because things are definitely changing 100%.
Yeah. Like I think ideally you'd want to like do this as if it's your art, and it's not, no like marketability or like profitability comes into the process of making it, but then you're able to like strategically be like, well, maybe I put it on Amazon so more people could see it,
Right.
But like, I'm sure what happens for like, especially like, I don't know, like the industry or whatever you want to say, like the people, like they have an idea of like, who they're going to market it to, or, all this stuff before the art even gets made. And then it just really, more than anything, it just becomes like filling in boxes, and it's not really the most important part, which is like a vision of what it's supposed to be from the jump,
Yeah, it's crazy because I've done a lot of independent set stuff. And then I've also recently have been doing some like studio stuff, and the vibe is so different. Like when there's a big budget involved, like you can just tell everyone's like, we're here to do a job. You stay in your lane. As like, even if you know like how to do other things, you can't act like, you can't be in everyone's like, hey, let me help you.
Stay in your lane.
Yeah. Like people they don't like that on big sets. It's like, you're hired for this position, you do that position. So it's a very different vibe, because like on independent sets, it's like you see someone struggling, like, hey, I got you. Or like, someone's like carrying something, like you help, you know what I mean? It's just like stuff like that. Like, it's like a no brainer, you know what I mean? But like on big sets, it's like so different. And there's a lot of big personalities and big energies. So it's like, you can feel the difference in the vibe.
I mean, you prefer working with the passion project?
It's, like, it's more real, and everyone, like I've met, honestly, some of like my closest friends in LA, like have been from sets and film school, because like everyone's like, you have to open up a lot in film school, and also just working together, and like you learn who you work well with. Like you can't make a movie by yourself. Like, yeah, like there's like, let's, for example, if I'm like, oh, I wrote this script, like, yeah, I wrote the script, but to continue with making the film, I need a whole team. Like I can't hold the light, hold the camera, direct, and like, you know what I mean? It would be insane. So it's like, it forces you to open up and like really talk to people and like, create something. And then when you do create something really amazing and magical, and just how you thought it was going to turn out, or even better, it's just like, it builds such a strong connection, because you're like, oh my God, like we made this, you know what I mean? Or like we created this. Or if like you create something and it wins in a film festival, like, it's like you created that with your friends. Like, that's awesome. And it's like when you work well with these people, you kind of just like keep doing more projects together, because you kind of already have like your team. You want to like, honestly, a good film crew, filmmaking is all about just finding a close circle that you work well with. Like, I've been on a lot of sets where I'm like, okay, I work well with this person and I don't work well with this person. Every set is different. Like, you think like, even though like, okay, generally how it's going to go down, because like, the general like format of how a production's going to go down, but there's always shit that pops up that you're not going to, expect, and you have to problem solve and work with people. Even if it's your first time with working with these people, you still have to like, be a team player, and you can't be like, all like, and you just can tell the difference when you're on an independent set versus a studio set.
Netflix just gave like a certain director like $400 million to like do like a series for them, and then now it's her vision.
Basically, if you have like a big award attached or a big name in your movie or like something like that, like it can open a lot of doors. Or if you have money, that can open a lot of doors. But if you're still like in the beginning process of like trying to, get in there and stuff, it's all about connections and like who you know.
Yeah.
Like they don't care what school you went to. I know it's like, what? Like people listening and be like, excuse me. No, but like I always thought like, oh, like your degree like I haven't been asked once, like, oh, where did you go to school? Or like, do you have a degree? But I throw it out there because I'm like, hey, I got this bachelor's degree. You're going to like hear about it. I definitely throw it in there. And I mean, it's a plus, but it's not like a make it or break it deal. It's honestly like who you know and how good
your experience, right?
Your experience. Yeah. When I apply for directing jobs, like for studio, I can't even apply to them because I'm technically not even qualified enough. And it's fucked up to say because I've done a lot of different projects and stuff, but like in their eyes, I don't have the experience for it. They're looking for people who have like 37 years of experience. Like legit, no joke. Disney, I was trying to apply for just like, I was like, oh, fuck it. Like dream big, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And yeah, they were like, we want someone with a degree. Someone that was actually the one they're like, we do. I was like, okay, I got that. I got this. And then at the very end, the last thing they wanted was 37 years of experience.
How specific and weird.
37 years. I'm only 24. I was like, the fuck? How does that even work? I was like, okay, let me just live a little longer and then I'll come back.
Keep working.
But you're really working your way up in the studio. Like you're going to start at the very bottom and then maybe in like, honestly 10 years you might be able to be a director there. Like it's really like up the ladder there. Like no matter what, you kind of have to be the underdog in some way, but I feel like as long as you work hard and show like you're here for the right reasons, and you can bring up your work but at the right time and not just like be chasing after people like, here, read my script, like like form a connection, do your work. Eventually someone will give you that like connect and that help.
I feel like you got to just like pull from both sides. Like you got to go in there and be like a sanitizer person or whatever, and just pay your dues and do that stuff. But like if you want to be a director and writer, like you said, like the best thing that you can do for yourself is direct and write, and just keep on doing what you want to do, like in the meantime. Exactly. Which I think you have been doing, right? Like, you're like a director, writer at heart. That's like kind of like your role.
I was studying to be a director, but then we also had to take screenwriting and write our own stories. And I really fell in love with the art of screenwriting and just like it being an idea in my head and then like writing it down and then having like people read it, giving like classmates read it and then give like notes and like, friendly criticism. And like that just helps to better the story. And like whenever I kind of got like that feedback, good feedback, and like the story seemed to be like unfolding and like it was smooth, I was like, wow, this is so cool. And then after being able to direct it, I was like, damn, this shit was literally an idea in my head. And now everyone's making my idea like come to life in front of me. Like it was just like such a high, like I was like, nothing beats this feeling. And I was like, to have something in your life that like gives you such a high, and it's not drugs. It's something from like, just from like working and like creating something. I can't even explain it. Nothing beats that. So for me, it wouldn't
exist. Yeah. Before you, it didn't exist. It was just this idea in your head and then now it exists and now other people know about it and all that. That's like the coolest, that's like the best feeling, honestly.
And if I can just, share, like, I don't know, throw in my own personal experience of things that I see, things that like I've watched, things that I hear in the news or see on the news, like just, and like form a story. Like, I don't know. I just feel like it's so powerful. And sometimes it's just even like the most random thing that I've come up with, or even from a dream. I'm like, oh shit, that needs to get written down. I mean, not all of them are like, let's say movie worthy, but at the time I'm like, this could be something, you know what I mean? But that's how it all starts. It literally just, dreams, personal experiences, things I've seen, things that I read, documentaries are like my favorite.
Because I was trying to like, after we ran through our topics about the date, like I'm in the process of writing like a screenplay. Like I've never done that. Okay, so
yes, tell me.
It's inspired by true. It's going to be called San Jose the movie.
Okay, I love it. Okay. I mean, Bay Area, hello.
Bay Area, yeah, and most of the actors in it are going to be playing themselves.
Okay.
Kind of deal. So San Jose the movie is inspired by a true story of my friend who came here from Fayetteville, North Carolina, to play football, and he's a rap artist. Yeah. And we ended up connecting, and I ended up showing him like the different shows and different stuff in San Jose. Yeah. Pretty much he gets here to San Jose, and this is pretty much the thesis. Is people are like, why San Jose?
Why San Jose?
Why would you come to San Jose? Like you came all the way from across the country and you came to San Jose. Like there's nothing here in San Jose. Do you understand being from San Jose? Like that culture, like people being like, I got to go to LA to make it, or like people just in general being like, I got to get out of here. There's nothing here.
I was part of that too. I was like, I have to go to LA.
Exactly. Like it's a whole ass culture.
Yeah.
So, but along the way, he's going to find out what San Jose does have to offer, you know, and like, you know, he's going to like get shown, he's going to go to a show, and then he's going to meet his girl, and then they're going to be on the East. I've started writing a little bit. Like, I have a very clear storyboard. I feel like in my head, like I have a storyboard, but I don't like, I've never written anything. So like, I'm trying to like make the storyboard work with dialogue. And then I just feel like I'm being way too obvious and like, you know what I mean? I don't know.
No, honestly, like drawing it out, like literally I can't draw. So I stick figure it. I literally draw little stick figures. I think just like giving yourself a visual like plan and then being able to like, oh, and then this happens, like it's easier to write than just kind of like sitting there and like staring at a blank piece of paper and being like, okay, what should I write? You know what I mean? I feel like having like a little structure, a little plan is better to go about it that way. Are you using a screenwriting like software yet? Or are you like?
Nah, I'm in the notes.
Okay. Cause if there's a free one, it's called Celtics.
My brother was telling me about that.
You should definitely write your, like, even if like, you're like, I'm not ready, or you're like, I don't know if, just start on that. It makes it feel so much more professional and it looks good. And it like, it gets you, when you have that like look of like a screenwriter, it gets you more in the mood of like, okay, I'm a screenwriter. Like I can write this, like, and try to just be, a tip I can give for screenwriting, just be very descriptive. That's all it is. Being very descriptive of everything. Like you have to, anything that you think of or anything you want in the film, write it down, because if it's not on that script, it's not going to be in the film, because literally everything that you want in the film is written down. Like that's how you go about it. It's like literally like the formula. Like for example, like
everything, huh?
Yeah. If you specifically, like, let's say I specifically wanted to cast someone that looks like me, you'd have to put like, let's just say Priscilla enters the building and she has dark hair, like shoulder length, almond shaped eyes. She's wearing a white shirt with dark lipstick and has her hair like, I'm being very specific. If this is like what you wanted the look to be, like you have to like legit write everything out. So when like the director and everybody else like is trying to make the story happen, like, this is what she needs to look like. Everyone knows she needs to look like this because you wrote it in the script that she looks like this, right? But like, let's say if you wanted this to be the look and you only wrote like a girl, Priscilla walks in and she's wearing a white shirt. So it's like, we don't like the casting director the casting director might like hire someone with like red hair but she's wearing a white shirt because that's what it said in the script. But you didn't want someone with red hair. You want someone with brunette hair, right? Or brown hair. But you didn't put in the script. So that's where it gets messed up. So if you want it in the movie, put it down in the script. Like, it doesn't matter if it's like too long, put everything down. And make sure you always, on the screen, right? Exactly. And make sure you always start with location. Obviously it's in San Jose, but like where in San Jose does the story?
Okay. So like the movie opens, right? And it's him like on a bus. And it's kind of like, the setting is like very important to the movie. It's like San Jose's movie, you know? So it's like showing various highways we drive every day and the exits that like people in San Jose would see and like recognize or whatever. But it's him like on the bus. He's got headphones on and a piece of paper, and like it's playing like a voicemail from his mom being like, you know, I've been doing research. It doesn't look like there's any distractions there in San Jose. Like, be safe. Yada, yada. Stay focused on your football, you know? But, so yeah, it'd be like on the bus.
So let's say with that, like if we wanted to write that, you would first, we could do like bird's eye view of like San Jose. So we're like, okay, we're in San Jose. Then, so you would write bird's eye view showing downtown San Jose or like whatever area in San Jose you wanted to show. And then you would, what was your friend's name? Sorry.
Gatsby.
Gatsby? No way, like Great Gatsby? That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like his artist name, but Jordan.
Okay.
He's Jordan at the beginning of the movie, yeah.
So it'd be like, let's just say like Gatsby mid-20s. You always put the age too. Gatsby mid-20s is seen riding the bus, listening to headphones, playing his mom's voicemail so we could hear the voiceover of her talking. And like while he's listening to the voiceover, he can look out the window and you see the different exits of like on the freeway. Like you can put like Santa Teresa or whatever the location. And you write it though, like Gatsby looks out the window and notices the Santa Teresa exit. While or like even what could cause him to look is like a fast car driving by, like just something that would like everything that's in the script. It's like it's there for a reason. It has to like float. Like like for example, like if you were riding a bus and all of a sudden like a nice fast sports car drove by, it would cause you to look, right? And then you would like look at it, maybe like, like react to it. And then you see the exit. And that could be like a smooth way of writing, it just like,
and then like instead floats. Of like, and then like the sports car could be like a motif of like one of the themes from the movie. Theoretically,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Like, I already had this vision of him seeing like a homeless man.
Okay.
Because like a big theme of the movie is going to be like the two sides of San Jose. Like it's the capital of the Silicon Valley, richest place ever. But if you drive around, you're going to see people under the highway.
So how about we see a Tesla? How about we see a Tesla drive by? Because it's like Silicon Valley, very common.
Yes.
It takes the exit. Maybe it cuts the bus off. We take the exit as well. On the exit is a homeless man holding a sign. Boom. You see San Jose in half a second. Literally, you don't have to like write all this shit out. Like it literally, that's all it has to be. And the audience is smart. They can piece it together right away. Like that's another thing. Like we think we think like, oh, okay. Like I don't think they would understand. I have to like make a whole scene. If you can just do it from like reacting honestly in emotions and just like facial expressions, do that. It will take you such a far away. The acting is way better that way. Cause if like, the audience wants to like feel like, oh, I'm figuring it out for myself. If you're always just giving them the answers, it's not exciting. Your movie's not going to do well. Like whenever anybody watches a movie, they're like, okay, like I feel like this is going to happen. Like they predict almost, you know what I mean? Or they're like, I think they kind of have like an idea, or they kind of want to know or think where like the movie's heading. So if you don't like feed them the answers of dialogue, it's more pleasing.
Yeah. So tell me if this is too on the nose. So he gets off the bus, right? And he's at Dearborn Station right by the Shark Tank or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I'm here in San Jose. I need to go to De Anza College.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, get on that bus. Boom, goes out to the bus. And then he gets to De Anza and he meets his football coach.
Yeah.
All right. And he's like, Coach, I thought you said the university was in San Jose. Why am I out here in Cupertino? Yeah. And the coach is going to be like, Cupertino is like San Jose. It used to be like San Jose and have culture and stuff like that. And then Apple came. And now this is just Apple bought up all Cupertino. Now it's just a cultural wasteland. So I say San Jose to give, you something to look up, or whatever. Right. But don't worry. Google just bought San Jose. Google just bought hella San Jose. So San Jose will be like Cupertino soon. Don't worry, And that's like the backdrop of like the whole movie,
I think you have a great story and a great idea here. I think you should just try, like, don't overthink it. But like, oh, how should I write it? Or like, just write. And then if you want like someone to proofread it or like give you friendly criticism, tips, honestly, that's the best way to go about it. Like I miss that about film school. I mention it all the time. I'm like, I wish that I still had that class because they read your story. They're taking time out of the day to read the story and give you like tips and feedback that would just help your story, or that parts that maybe didn't make sense. Cause sometimes it happens to me too as a writer, you're like, I have to have this in there, or like this needs to be in there to make the story make sense, but you necessarily don't have to. Like even when we were talking about that intro, like we literally made an intro within like 5 seconds and like just like showed the whole world of the story already. So it's like sometimes you just need like someone else to read it and be an extra set of eyes. So I'm happy to do that for you. Honestly, the best way to go about it is just doing it and like experiencing. Yeah. Like I can sit here and be like, do this or write this, but I feel like the best way to learn is like you just try and write it, and then I can tell you like I read it and just try to help you that way. You know what I mean?
I wear many hats. Like I was doing photography. I was throwing like shows, concerts. So I was like, putting on the whole, like the ideas, like when you were talking about how like the idea didn't exist and then it was in your head and then it was something everyone could share. Like that's what I was thinking about. Like, I started like an underground hip hop show. It became like really popular, and I've done like I put together a music festival called San Coachella, and that shit was like. Why
was I not invited?
I blasted it out there, but we had like literally we had hella vendors, 2 stages, a photo booth, like all this stuff. 450 people came.
When you come to LA, we should talk about and do a whole episode on that. That's like, what the fuck? That's amazing. Did you film it? Did you have like a whole video of like behind the scenes?
I had a vlog, and then I think we had some video work of it a little bit, but
that's sick.
Yeah, that shit was incredible. I'm gonna keep doing it, and like it was just at this backyard home DIY venue.
Yeah.
But we're gonna take it to like a legit ass park like this upcoming year. So yeah, I'm gonna keep doing it for sure.
You could be the new Rolling Loud. Like exactly. It could be out there. That is so sick.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I was like, I feel like I saw you like filming stuff or like but that makes sense. The concert, the venues, and I think I was like just seeing like videos of that, and I was like, oh, that's sick. Like I thought you were like, I wasn't sure what was going on, but it was like this is really cool. It was catching my attention.
I had a podcast going. I was like interviewing people.
Okay, so what was your podcast about?
Yeah, and I was vlogging too. Yeah, so it was called the PMO podcast. So it put me on, like I'd put you on to new undiscovered artists, stuff like that, local artists and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's super cool.
Ultimately, like it was just a little like hella work, and I was kind of doing it for kind of like, I don't know, like doing it for other people more than I was doing it for myself more so. And then like it was just so hard to like work the cameras, do the editing, do everything, and be on it. Like I'd be recording, and then the camera would be like dead. I'd be like, oh, it would be really nice to have someone behind the camera. Like, damn.
That is so funny you said that, because I'm like getting PTSD hearing about it. Like I literally have every episode, I'm like, something's happening. I'm like, oh, I can't figure this shit out or this or that. Yeah. Like I remember I fully charged my camera. It like overheated once, and I was like, okay. So then I had to like pause everything. And then like, just like little things that you need help, but you have to do it all. It's like a lot of work. And like, I've definitely sat there, like just almost wanting to cry. Like, is it worth it? Like,
yeah,
like, I'm like, who's even listening? You know, like all sad. Yeah. But then you got to like pull yourself together, and you're like, okay. Or you know what it was though? Before I started this podcast, I tested out like podcasting a little bit, but I didn't know, like I didn't have a genre or like a niche of what I wanted to talk about yet. So I was just kind of like recording and like interviewing random people, random things. Like I would talk about literally the most random things. And it was just kind of like all over the place. And it wasn't like getting anywhere, and it wasn't really like what I expected. But then I just stopped. I like literally just stopped, like quit, which I don't really like do. I don't like doing that, but I was just like,
it's cool though.
I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. I was like, there's no point. I'm just wasting time. But then like 3 months later, I just like, it just hit me. I was like, oh my God, why don't I podcast about the film industry and just like talk about anything and everything about the film industry? I was like, I have experience in the film industry. I went to film school. I have all my friends in LA are in the film industry or like starting out or doing something. I was like, I got
a passion for it.
Yeah. I was like, this is my dream. I can literally like talk about like the process that I'm taking and other filmmakers are taking and just different experiences. And I was like, and even before, like, even when I had all these thoughts, like, even when I started, it was still like all over the place, shaky, like still like, you know, trying to figure out my audience. Shit, I'm still trying to figure out my audience right now. Like,
they'll come.
Exactly. But I also was just like, okay, this is, I was more confident behind it because I was like, I actually really enjoy the topic. I really think I could do something with this. And then it's just been more fun to do because I was like, okay, I'm passionate about this and it makes sense. And I just took the time to kind of figure out the whole like editing process, which it's been a lot, but it's been cool. It's been a cool experience and I'm glad that I did it, but I had to take a step back to realize like, okay, I do want a podcast, but I wasn't podcasting the right thing, the right topic. I was just kind of like all over the place. But once I figured out like it was the film industry that I wanted to podcast, it all kind of fell into place. So maybe podcasting is in your future, but maybe it's something, you know, another topic or something that's a little more personal to you.
Yeah, true. Yeah. And I was going to say, like, I think I'm going to be like, I possibly might be doing a DJ thing at my university. So like, I'll be like on the actual radio.
You wear many hats. You're like, you weren't joking.
No, for real. Like, I feel like that's like, I've been fortunate enough to be able to like try many different things, like dip my toes in many different waters while I'm young and like figure out what it is that I really love most, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
But like I was saying, I'm probably going to do a DJ thing where like I'm going to be like actually DJing, playing songs for the radio. So that could be the new PMO show, you know?
That,
Like where
hell yeah,
I
are
put
you
you on
kidding
to
me?
underground music, you know? Like that could
That
be
is sick. I think
yeah,
you
that could
should
be
do
the
it.
thing.
I think you should do it. Just go for it. I mean, like you said, you're young and like this is the time to just try different things and see what works and see what doesn't. Not everything's going to be success. Not everything's going to be like something you love doing, but at least,
Mhm.
you know, you learn from it. You know what you like and you know what you don't like. You know what you're good at. You know, I told myself, I was like, I'm going to do podcasting for a year. I'm going to try this for a year. If I don't see any results, if it doesn't go, I'm just going to move on from it. But at least I put a year of my time into it and like actually tried it, actual dedic, not half-ass, you know what I mean? So that's why every episode I really do try to do my best. For the longest time, I was only doing audio because I was like, I don't want to edit video. And then I was like, that's stupid. I'm limiting myself from like letting this podcast like be able to grow because I'm being lazy about wanting to edit, not wanting to edit. So I basically was like, you're not putting your full, like you're not putting it all out there like you said you would. So I started the video component and started doing it more in person. And like, I've honestly been enjoying it more, even more than when I was just doing it over like audio. Like it's just been more of like a fun experience and just more personal. And I like really get to know my guests as well, like versus just like, you know, not seeing them. And it's just like us talking, like it's not as personal. So yeah, honestly, just go for it. Even if it's scary, even if it like seems like, nah, like I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't know what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing. I'm still just trying to figure it out.
No, yeah, literally. No, the thing is, we could do anything. We just can't do everything. You know,
Exactly.
that's like my biggest like struggle.
That's
Like
true.
I'm like, I see
That's
so
true.
many different things. Like, but I'm like, okay, if I'm really gonna make this movie, then that's gonna be like a big chunk of my time, big chunk of like some of my money resources. I'm like, I'm already trying to start my party bike business. Like, you hop on.
Yeah. What do you think the future of like Netflix and chill is? Since we've been
See,
like
I was
talking
seeing
about
that. I was like, I just think Netflix is just a dead man walking when it comes to like being a platform. Like,
okay.
I don't know, they pay people millions and millions of dollars to make content and then people have to pay to see it.
I know.
And it's like YouTube, like people make content for free, you know? No,
True.
so I don't know. Yeah, it's just like it doesn't really seem like it's gonna hold up in the long term. So I would say with that aspect, I would say Netflix and chill probably isn't really the future.
Do you think maybe not necessarily Netflix and chill, but like maybe HBO Max and chill, or like like
I know
Peacock and chill? Like there's all these new platforms. Like, do you think those are going to be the new like Netflix and chill type of things, or you think that whole idea of Netflix and chill or like streaming platforms and chill is just gonna tank?
Yeah, I think that idea is actually here to stay. Like, as classic as the movie theater is, I can't say, especially once we're past the first, second, third, fourth dating stage. Like, if I was in a relationship for 8 months and they were like, "Do you want to go to the movies or do you want to stay at home and order Chinese food and watch something here?" Like, I think I'd rather stay in bed. You know what I mean? There's a lot of value staying in bed.
Like honestly, because the movie theaters have been opening, or they've been open, and I had that issue with Black Widow. I was like, do I go see it in the theater or do I just pay the $30 and watch it here on the comfort of my couch and eat and whatever? And I did order it from home. I just paid for it on Disney. I was just like, I'm late. So I'm guilty of it too, but I definitely hope that theaters stay. I don't want them to go. You've been to the ones where they're like a little fancier and that you can like have drinks and like I've never been.
Lay down. Yeah.
The chairs look nice. Like they look like little massage chairs. I mean, I doubt they're massage chairs, but they have like that style. And you can order a drink. I'm like, maybe that's like the new vibe of movie theaters.
We were saying earlier, like, what can movie theaters do to like stay alive? Like we were talking about that. Like, start with alcohol, baby. That's a good place to start.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, let's think about like why we choose to be home rather than go to the theaters. And maybe we can apply that at the theaters as well. So I think definitely serving alcohol would be huge. But then I also can see why the theaters would be nervous about doing that, because then you have the risk of like really drunk people in a theater. And then it's like, if it's like a
liquor license are expensive. Yeah.
And also it's like, maybe there's kids around, family movies, and like, like these drunk teens, or like, I don't know, it could get messy. So I kind of see that. But I think if they do it the right way, it could be a big bonus to their business.
I don't know if we're gonna do pros and cons. Like, why would we rather watch on Netflix than the movie theater? I feel like number one, like you just said, alcohol. Like, okay, yeah. I could just pour up a glass of wine. I could just be sitting at home. Boom.
Right.
Two is obviously like the intimacy that the home setting allows. That a lot of people aren't into the PDA. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not really too big into like the PDA kissy stuff. Like. Out in public and stuff like that. Like, I'm kind of more like
I'm like, no. Yeah. And also it's like, I don't really want to see it either. Like, I don't necessarily want to see someone sucking face in front of me.
And whether we like it or not, like, that's a part of the movie theater.
I know. Thing. I think as I get older, I'm like, I really don't want to watch these teenagers sucking face in front of me. I'm like, oh no, I'm old.
I mean, I don't think we even need a third reason at that point. Like,
I mean,
I think
the prices on the snacks, that for me is such like, that would kill my buzz. Like, if I go to the movies with a buzz and see the the prices of the snacks, I'm like, But honestly, drive-ins, they're cheaper. Like the snacks, I think they're cheaper by like a lot. And also the ticket prices are cheaper too. I think it's like $10 for the car. So
yeah.
At the end of the day,
I think I'm a movie theater over a movie drive-in to me.
Me too.
I don't want to be in the car. Yeah.
And then it's like, there's also the risk sometimes of like your car dying.
Am I supposed to leave it on? I don't know what the fuck the drive-ins want.
Yeah. No, my car, the light was just like staying on. And I was like, why is the light staying on? I was like, it's going to kill my battery and then we're going to be stuck here. And it just like, we literally had to take the light out because it would have drained the battery and we would have been stuck in the theater. So
it's like part of the charm. Like, someone has to jump your car afterwards.
Is it
like, the community aspect.
I'm like, or we could just watch it at home and not have this problem. People are going to stick to what they love. Like, they're going to hear us out, but obviously if they love the theaters, they're going to go. And if they don't, they're going to stay home. So I guess we'll just see in a couple years what happens, like with the whole streaming and theater aspect of things. If that's going
to, hopefully our kids, hopefully our kids and their kids will still be doing the movie dates,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I hope so too, because it is sad to like, see them go out of business. I mean, it's just part of the like entertainment industry, you know what I mean? To have movie theaters, they just load their ticket prices. I think that's what it just essentially, when you have like a big family, it just doesn't make sense to like spend $20 for one ticket when you can pay like $30 and have your whole family watch it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like my family has that issue too. Like my family is like a family of 6. So whenever we go to the movies as a family, it's not a cheap outing. So yeah. I think if they made it more cost efficient for families, that could be, I know they do like Tuesdays, like maybe like family nights and stuff. But if they had those rates like every day, we could see some changes. We'll see. We'll just have to see. And then we'll have to come back on the podcast and talk about it. Be like, we predicted this.
Yeah, whenever I'm in LA, trust me, I'm in the neighborhood. Whenever you're in LA, I'm gonna let you know.
And I also want an update on your script. And if you do need help or any tips, feedback, just email it to me. You have my email now, so we can talk about that. But give out your Instagram.
Cool. I guess my Instagram is Jayland Photography. It was a funny story behind that. It was always Jayland Photography even before I ever picked up a camera. It was just like a funny name, like back when I was like 13 years old. Yeah. And then like
that's why I thought you did photography, because I was like, I swear I like follow his Instagram account.
But I do photography, and like we could do like, honestly, like this pod was so intended to be specific about like the movies and the film and stuff. Like we could do a whole pod about me and my creative ventures. Like
no, definitely.
There's so much more to tell about the creative stuff I got going on. So I can't wait to catch everyone up.
Definitely.
My party bike business, if you're ever in the Silicon Valley, it's the Silicon Valley's only locally owned party bike. Hop on SJ. Come check us out.
I know.
Thank you to the host, Priscilla. Congratulations on all the big stuff you got going on with Dr. Phil.
I have no control of the editing process on that. And you know, like I said, I'm used to like the director essentially controls everything, which sounds funny. Yeah. I'm like, I like to be in charge of it. So it's interesting to do a project where, you know, you have no control of anything. So we'll see how that goes. I had so much fun. So thanks for coming on, and make sure to stay up to date with the script.